Hello and welcome to the TT Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk to one person from the world of the TT racers to discuss their lives, their journeys, their ambitions, and their relationship with the greatest motorsporting event in the world. Steve Plater. Hello, mate.
How you doing, mate?
Sound of you.
Tip top.
You got any interesting facts, news, anything going down?
Not really, not at the moment, no. I was just flat out doing my own thing and trying to put things together and get ready for the season.
Busy boy. You looking forward to the TT?
Yeah, very much so. Looking forward, in all fairness, to the TT launch.
Oh, I can't wait. Do you think they'll have us back?
Well, I've heard a rumour.
Oh, go on, let me guess. It starts with Matt and ends in Roberts.
Yeah,
Hey?
he's good though, isn't he?
Oh, listen, he is. He's phenomenal, and that's what annoys me the most about him. If he was, well, I don't know, if he was rubbish at his job, then I'd be even more annoyed. But yeah, hey, listen, yeah, the launch last year was fantastic. So hopefully again we'll have some more fun.
Hey, mate, it'll be good. It'll be good, and there'll be plenty of news there for sure.
Definitely. Right, let's talk about today's guest.
Well, you know, he's a guy comes from a big family.
Huge family. I didn't realise how big. Yeah.
No, and he's in fancy colours, so he's got a little bit to live up to, bit of pressure on. Had a great 2022, I think.
Yeah.
And there's more to come.
This is the question, though. Do you think he's the man that can take it to the Birchells?
The answer, yes, I do. He's knocking on the door. I think he's just got to find a little bit of consistency. The outright pace is there, a little bit of consistency, and I think he'll be there.
So here he is. Pete Founds.
Pete Founds, come on.
Come on down. All right, our next guest. He made his debut at the TT in 1997 as a passenger. Am I wrong there, Pete?
No, you're right.
All right, good. It looked like you were going to pull me up then on that. But it wasn't until 2015.
I had to think about it myself, to be fair. It's a while ago, isn't it?
2015, you made your debut as a driver, and it's not been the driver.
Rider,
Again, you don't look so confused.
Yeah, no, either or.
I'm looking at it. I'm
I've
looking
been
at you.
called 10 times worse, so yeah, call me
Let's call you a driver. Let's call you a driver. 4 podiums.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just nodding here because I haven't got a clue. Is that bad?
I'm looking to you to make sure that I'm saying everything right. 4 podiums and a top speed of 118.7-ish.
Round about that,
Yeah. We'll take that. Listen, the first question that we always get people on when we're on this podcast is that moment, and you've experienced it from both ends of the car, that tap on the shoulder. You roll up to the start line. You get that hand on your shoulder as a driver. You can see it as a passenger. What difference is going through your minds as a driver and a passenger, and what other sensations are you feeling?
I mean, as a rider, like I can't even remember the tap on the shoulder, to be honest. I'm just looking at that little flag to drop, to be honest. But yeah, the tap on the shoulder. Like everyone says, oh, that tap on the shoulder, that's practice for me. Tap on the shoulder.
Yeah.
But it's when the flag drops for me, I'm just like eyes are on the flag. But feelings when you come to that is, I get really nervous, but nervous about like the mechanical aspect of my bike. Thinking, oh, have I done this? Have I tightened that? Have I checked this? Have I, is this going to hold? Is this going to last? Have I done too many miles on the engine? And it's all them things going through my head. So, but as soon as you get down, as soon as you're clicking into gear and you're away, it's your mind's clear and you're thinking, right, how quick am I getting around Quarterbridge?
Yeah, but I guess I like to hope that they're irrational thoughts because you've already prepped all that and you've done all that prior to rolling up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's just your mind playing games with you, isn't it? And your nerves getting the better of you.
Yeah. Same as a passenger then?
Passenger slightly different. As a passenger, you're more focusing. It's been a while, but you're more focusing on trying to get yourself out the wind, trying to stay low. In the earlier days, it was like, at what point am I going to start feeling my arms start burning, and at what point am I going to start feeling the stress? Because it's a tough job passengering around there. So
yeah,
at some point you're going to start breathing through your backside. So you're just waiting for that moment. So.
How tiring is it? I've done one lap only, and only a parade lap, not at your guys' pace. But I found it really physical. But I just put that down to hanging on too tight and being flipping, a little bit scared.
Yeah.
Is it really physical?
it is physical, so you've got to be strong. So make no mistakes, the lads are strong, but at the same time they're clever in terms of getting their body positioning on the bike. So they'll be wedged in with the heel or the toe, or some little part of the body will be hanging on, so they can relax the grip on the arms, so they can actually last the distance. And because I've took out passengers in the past at club meetings, and big strong lads, and they've lasted like 2 laps, and it's because they're holding on tight, for the dear life.
Yeah,
dear life.
Be the same.
Yeah.
So where did it start then? We've had who have we had on? We've had the Birchells on. We've had Molly on. We've had John Holden on, and everyone's got a slightly different story of how they ended up in sidecars, because sidecars aren't always. In fact, was it John Holden said that he wanted to go down the solo route, and he kind of wished he had, but obviously he's had a illustrious career in sidecars.
It's been great, hasn't he?
Yeah. How about yourself? Where did it come from?
Well, I guess I followed my dad. My dad raced sidecars when I was a kid.
That explains everything, then.
There was nothing down for me.
Yeah.
No, to be fair to my dad, I actually, one of my main hobbies when I was younger was ice hockey, and that was...
Oh, nice.
So I was big into that, and my dad ran me all over the country, going to Great Britain trials and all this kind of stuff. So,
So that was as a kid, that was your passion, that was
my big passion as a kid. I loved the ice hockey, it was brilliant, and I did relatively well at it, we had a good thing, but then you come to the point there where actually you're going to make some serious money, or you're going to be an ice hockey player for the rest of your life. And
there's no money at ice hockey then, obviously.
For some lads, I don't think I was good enough to make professional money like some of the guys.
I think you're in the wrong country for ice hockey, aren't you? You need to be over in America.
America or Canada, haven't you?
So any stories to tell us from that? Because obviously you've seen stuff on the telly and something on the films, all the big fights that happen and slapping with the sticks. And
No, I'm a lover, not a fighter.
That's why you never did it.
You don't have a face like this when you're fighting, do you? Come on.
Oh, mate, that's why I asked.
No, we had some great times. The ice hockey was brilliant. Yeah, we had some wild times as well, should we say? But
the racing, you couldn't really get away from it if your dad was doing it, so you were exposed to it.
But you know what? He never forced me into it. But I love going in the garage with my dad, and I love watching him. Because he never had a lot of money when we were growing up, and we had 5 kids. That was his own doing, but that's another story. But
5 kids in a racing career. That's
a lot of spare time, obviously.
Yeah, well, some might say he used to use the child support agency for his fund his racing, but that's a different story. But yeah, anyway. So he never forced it into it. But you could guarantee when my dad went racing, there'd be a van full of kids sat on the bike, on the way there. So he used to take us all there. And we were like feral kids, I think everyone knew us as a bloody Founds kids running around the paddock again with no clothes on or no shoes on or whatever, yeah.
But your dad had a decent outfit.
Well, no, sometimes. But so he never forced us into it, but we just loved going with him when I was a kid.
So where was his passion from then? How did he get into it?
Well, that is a good story, to be fair. So my dad always said how he got into it. He said he used to ride a Triumph Bonneville to some of these meetings, which was the done thing, and he just had a tarpaulin which he'd throw over his bike, and he'd sleep under one side of the bike, and my mum would sleep under the other.
Just as a fan?
No, as a racing.
Oh, as a racer.
Yeah, so he used to take the bike there, race this old Triumph Bonneville, which my mum bought him for a wedding present, by the way.
Brilliant.
And then they'd sleep under either side of this bike, but my mum said she was sick of riding home from race meetings with like bits of foot hangers in her hand and bits of the bike, hanging off. So my dad had been at Alton Park one weekend, and he'd been the bike, and he was stood at Lodge Corner watching the sidecars come round, and he said he just spotted Pip Harris at the time, who was the man, and he said he seen Pip Harris come round Lodge, and he said he had the biggest smile on his face, and he said, "I'm going to do that,"
and that was that.
And he did. Cool. He built his own sidecar, and away he went. Never looked back.
This is what I find fascinating about sidecars is they're not readily available to just go and pick up in a shop like a solo is. It's something that you've got to have a passion for engineering and the technical aspect of an outfit, rather than just purely go, I want that, and go and buy one.
Yeah. For most of us, like you say, we're that passionate. We'll buy, even if we bought a bike, because you can buy. There's a couple of good boys there, that making them. So you can buy a bike, and then you'd still probably end up making your own little tweaks and your own bits to it. That's what we do.
But again, they're not in. You can't drive past a shop and see one and go, oh yeah. You have to be exposed to it at the race circuit, or like you have with your dad.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So how was your dad's passion with the TT?
So Dad did the TT for about 25 years. Yeah, so he loved it. Yeah, and it was always, he always turned it into a big summer holiday for us.
Yeah.
And we always went to the TT every year for the whole clampets, should I say, all hanging out the back of the transit van. You can imagine. So yeah, it was 2 weeks in the TT, and genuinely that was our. My mum's mum lived over there as well in the Isle of Man.
Oh, nice.
So we doubled it up, to go over and see her. But genuinely, that was like our summer holiday for years. And I was that naive when I kind of left school and that. I met a girl when I was about 19 or something like that, and she said, we're having a summer holiday this year. And I was like, yeah, of course, we're having a summer holiday. TT, of course, 2 weeks in the TT. I'd never set foot off the UK in my life. Brilliant. But I was that naive, but yeah, I did eventually get a beach holiday at some point, I think.
Did you take her to TT?
Oh, yeah.
Did she enjoy it?
Yeah, I think she did, actually. Yeah, who doesn't enjoy the TT?
Oh, exactly, yeah. That's unbelievable, that.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're over there as a kid, you're watching your dad race. Do they, like we've heard in the past, kids that have gone, like John McGuinness and other people, you're almost left to your own devices while they're, their fathers or
doing their thing.
They're doing their thing. Was that it? Did you
pretty much? Yeah.
Did you spend a lot of time watching the race and going to different vantage points to watch?
Yeah. I love being around the pits because there was always so much going on around the pits. Back in the 80s, it was just manic. There was so much calamity and chaos. And people pranks, in the paddock. Honestly, it was just a great place to grow up. There was so much going on. Some of the stunts my dad used to pull on some of the other teams, and they'd pull on him, and it was magical. And then some of the solo lads would get involved. And
what were they doing to each other?
Oh, well, we had one year that my dad had an official rule that he wouldn't lend any tools out of his kit, and the sidecar lads do lend a lot of tools off each other, spurs, anything. He wouldn't lend a single thing unless somebody sung him a song. It was notorious, and it went on for a couple of years. Actually, it was that popular, but all the other teams cottoned onto it. But the beauty of it was somebody would come round and ask to lend a tool, and if you said no, go on, I'll lend it. You need to sing a song, and the minute they said no, somebody would shout, "We've got a singer!" So the longer you delayed singing your song, the more spectators you got in to come and watch. And probably the most memorable one I had is because we didn't just help each other races out, we'd help the public out.
Yeah.
And one year a big burly Hell's Angel turned up with a frame that was broken, normal bike frame, snapped his headstock or something. Cool. And my dad welded it all up for him and done it. I went to give it him back, and the guy said, "Go on, how much do I owe you?" My dad said, "No, nothing. You'll sing us a song." And the guy said, "Oh, I'm not singing your song." And everyone's thinking, "Oh no, where's this going, Dad? Don't do it." But he stuck by his guns, and after about 15 minutes of debating and about 250 people descending on our camp, this Hell's Angel sang "Bar Bar Black Sheep" to everyone.
Brilliant. God, he's a braver man than me. I'd have let him take it. I'd have paid him to take it.
So growing up in the 80s was.
So where was the best place to go and watch for as you as a spectator?
Well, I was quite lucky because my mum, having lived in the Isle of Man, kind of had a bit of an house about how to get round, and so what we used to do is, I'm laughing because there's another story to that one, but she'd pick us up and she'd say, "Right, we'll go and watch at Braddon Bridge." "Okay, Mum, we'll go watch at Braddon Bridge." And what we'd do, we'd go to Braddon Bridge, and then as soon as my dad went through Braddon Bridge, we'd jump in the car and shoot straight back up the road, and then we'd watch from Cronknamona then, as he'd come back round the other way. And the reason she did that was because my dad broke down that often. If we didn't get him twice on the first lap, we wouldn't very often see him. So.
Oh, brilliant. Not a lot of confidence there.
But yeah, so I was quite blessed as a young boy because my mum would ferry us around in the car, bomb it round,
So that was it. You kind of had no choice but to get into it.
Yeah.
And you say your dad had 5 kids.
Yeah. I've got 3 brothers and a sister.
All 3 brothers race, or
all 3 brothers race.
Did you all race?
There's one black sheep that's into 2 wheels, Steve. So he's after your heart.
Yeah, wants a bit of sense in the family.
Yeah, you might say that. Yeah.
So we've got yourself.
So my older brother Chris, I used to race with Chris
and Alan
back in the early 2000s. Well, late 90s, early 2000s. We did the World Superside together. That was when I was in my passenger days, and then I've got another brother then, Steve, who's into 2 wheels. So he's a bit of a bike collector stroke hoarder. Mm-hmm. And then then it's myself, and then my younger sister Han, and then Al, obviously who you know, who's going to be hot on my heels this year, I think.
Those younger days, obviously, when you're all like flipping young wild things running around the Isle of Man watching Dad. How soon did it become apparent it was going to be was your target to race around the Isle of Man TT?
I always had it in my head. You know, when I've started riding road bikes and stuff, I always had it, which is like 16 years. Well, it's earlier than that, isn't it? If you unofficially, but yeah, I always had it in my head. I was going to, as soon as I was 18, because the ruling was you had to be 18 to do the TT. So that was it. So I thought, right, as soon as I'm 18, I'll do it. And sure enough, you know, I turned 18 in '96, I think, and then '97, I was able to do it. So.
18 years old.
So, yeah.
McGuinness says, 18, 19, 20, 21. You're still, again, it might be slightly different for sidecars, but it says you're still too young to really get what you need out of the TT.
Yeah, he's quite strong-minded with that, I think. Which and it's right. Right. Obviously, there's a lot of bravado, especially on a solo.
Yeah.
To being probably a little bit too young and wild, but. When you were growing up and running rings around the Isle of Man, watching the Isle of Man, did you have to go and help them as well in the paddock?
Yeah. Well, it didn't have to. Like I said, never forced to do anything. I had a great childhood, but yeah, we were always invited to come and help. But my dad always had a really good supporter. We had Big Phil and Bunter and Beef and some of these other guys who were great. All of them passed away now, bless them, but they were all great mechanics. So we had his support. So generally, he'd farm us out. So we'd find out who's not got a mechanic and say, "Oh, Pete will help you out for the week. Go on, get over there, lad." But yeah, again, it was just being part of the action, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's a good way, I guess, again, of learning the trade as well, isn't it? It's,
yeah.
But what you tend to find, especially in sidecars, is every driver, every passenger is involved in putting that machine together. It's not like a factory solo where the rider, like John, for instance, rocks up and just cocks his leg over, sets off and does it. Although John gets involved in his own team as well, doesn't he? So
yeah, very much so.
You do tend to find that sidecars, the mechanics are the rider, the passenger as well.
Yeah, that's right.
So you kind of need to have that knowledge.
Maybe that's what gives the sidecars that little bit of the age profile is slightly higher with the sidecars because most of them are owning their own bikes and servicing them. I don't know.
Are you naturally kind of mechanically minded anyway?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm an engineer at work, so
yeah.
Well, I say that. Anyone watching this video is not a bloody engineer. He sits behind the desk half the time.
Yeah, exactly.
We chatted before the start of the podcast. He said I'm an engineer. I'm thinking, I might make something cool, fabrications of something to do with the sidecars. Drills holes in the floor to make salt. I didn't even know how they made salt. Do you know how they made salt?
You drill holes in the floor?
Sorry, Pete.
Thought this wasn't going in.
No, it is, because it's fascinating. I mean, it wasn't, but it was.
Well, I don't drill holes in the... I'm saying that's how
you
how
tell
we get
people
our
how
salt.
to drill holes.
So we solution mine, we drill down about 300 metres and then we inject water into the cavity and that turns the salt, the rock salt or the salt strata into brine, and then we pump the brine 2 or 3 miles across land into our factory.
Did you know that?
Purify it, dry it out.
You learn something new.
There it is, ready for your chips.
So there you go. When you're pouring your chips, when you're pouring your salt on your chips, it's probably come from Pete.
No, I thought it'd come out of the sea.
No.
Well, there is some that you can get some out of the sea, but I mean, would you drink seawater?
Not from Skeggy. Not from Skeg Vegas.
I've drank worse. It's pretty interesting though. To a degree.
Is, yeah.
What was the other thing we were going to mention?
Oh, I haven't got a clue.
There was something else. What was it now?
I'm not telling you, because that was boring as well.
That's it. That's the other thing. Show us your hand. There you go. I've given you a good half an hour to come up with an amazing story, because I said to you, what have you done to your hand? It must have been racing. It wasn't racing.
Yeah, well, I was learning to do backflips on my motocross bike. Right, so now he knows I'm lying already. Yeah.
Go on.
I still haven't thought of anything interesting.
All right, so how did you do it then?
I fell off some steps.
Brilliant.
Get out.
Yeah.
Oh, you could have bigged it up a little bit.
I've been racking my brains after he said.
Flying round the TT course at stupid speeds, falls off a set of steps and sprains his wrist.
Yeah, well,
So when you kicked off then with the sidecar job, after watching the old man and everything around the TT course and other places, how did you make a decision of passenger and not driving at the time? Or did it just kind of fall into?
Yeah, I fell into it in a way. Yeah, I wanted to drive, but like I say, you need to be quite committed as a driver because you put a lot into it. So, and I'm not saying I wasn't committed when I was a passenger, but maybe I was a little less committed and like to party a bit more. So yeah, it wasn't uncommon for Chris to drag me out of someone's awning at night, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Get out.
No, can't say that because the ACU will be listening. But no, never drunk or anything before a race. But
It's fine. It's all done now. That's not what you're like now.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm professional now. Yeah.
Exactly.
right on it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I jumped on with Chris, my brother. Who Chris was brilliant because he was dead technically minded, and we had quite a good teamwork, to be honest. Because I started off as an apprentice engineer, so I was into all using the lathes and the milling machines. So I used to make bits for the bike and stuff. So it worked out really well. And Chris was always had a good idea of what he wanted and how the bike would set up, and we had a good little team, to be honest. And then we managed to pull it off to get enough sponsorship to go and do the World Series. So when that was in the Foggy and the Colin Edwards days. So it was brilliant. Yeah,
You were a lot. So it was alongside World Superbikes.
Yeah,
so it used to be
alongside
alongside 500s and
Yeah,
GP,
kind of.
didn't
It was, from my memory, you correct me, but it was alongside the 500 to the Webster days and so on,
right,
and then it went Superside. At with World Superbikes.
Oh yeah,
quite a strong time, which was a real strong championship then.
It was
probably
yeah,
stronger
it was
than
good.
GPs to a certain degree for some of it. Yeah,
Was it?
Yeah, it was
World
competitive.
Superbikes was massive.
Oh mega! So you're racing alongside those, like you say, Foggy and Edwards, and just before the Bayliss era, I guess.
Yeah, no, it was during the Bayliss
Was it?
era as well. Yeah. No,
So you're dragging in some big crowd. You watched it,
It was
got some
awesome,
big crowds.
Yeah. It wasn't uncommon for the Sidecar lads once we'd had our race or whatever, or if we weren't at the end of the day, if we were early, as soon as we'd finished, it was pack up and get into the grandstand and watch the race. It's great.
Yeah, mega.
Oh,
Yeah,
mega.
brilliant.
So where was your first ever experience as a passenger then? Surely it wasn't just going down Braille.
First ever experience as a passenger
As a
on a Sidecar
passenger.
ever.
Yeah.
Well, I'd probably jumped on with my dad a few times at
Right.
Derby Airfield and places like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, done that. The first actual race was, I can't remember the guy's name, but
And there's never aggro from mother or anything. Jumping onto a youngster and
do you know
no
what?
negatives.
She's someone special, my mum. How she puts up with it, I do not know.
Yeah.
but yeah, no, never. It's always just encouragement. So yeah,
That's exactly what you need, isn't it?
Can't falter. Yeah.
Go on then, first race.
So Three Sisters.
Oh, a Sidecar around there.
Yeah. Wigan. Yeah.
Bloody hell.
On a TZ 350.
It's scary enough on
That was interesting.
I used to race Supermoto there. Did a bit of racing.
I've
myself.
never been.
Yeah. It's a blooming good circuit for a Supermoto or a go-kart.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of putting anything else on there though, especially a Sidecar.
I'd not been there for years and years, and funny enough, I hired it last year to run some engines in, just to take the bike up there and run some engines in. And I'd forgotten how tight and twisty it was. I don't think I got out of third or fourth gear. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Is it still raced on now?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Still
you want
do bits and pieces.
Yeah, it's like the TT, but completely the opposite. Tight, twisty, and very, very small. That's unbelievable. So how did you get on in your first race?
I can't remember.
Clearly not that good.
Not that well. No, I don't think.
No, I was going to Steve. Steve, am I right in thinking that you won your first race?
No, I won a race at my first meeting.
Sorry.
Get in there.
Where at? Where was it?
Do you know what? I remember on Rob Mack's podcast, we were Rob was talking about his first meeting, which was Cabot Park, because we're both close to Cabot. And I'm terrible. I can't remember flipping names or dates or history. I'm terrible.
Make me
like
feel
that.
better anyway.
And then March the 13th, 1994, yeah. Mad,
March
isn't it?
13th?
March the 13th, 1994.
It was cold
that
then,
was
weren't it?
Flipping cold, yeah. Real cold. Anyway, I won
Cadwell
straight
Park?
out and yeah.
On
Club
what?
circuit.
Cadwell.
600. As a newcomer, then you could only race, maximum CC was 600cc, so I raced that, but I raced the 600 races and it was fairly quick in them. And then I didn't realise at the time, but you could pay some extra money and go in the open race, which is any CC, which is what I did, and that was the race I won. Yeah, against the big
Really?
guys. Yeah.
Did you take any scalps? Is there any big names that you beat there? that
Yeah, there's a
people are
couple. I
dealing
can't remember names to it. He's actually a good mate of mine, a guy called Tim Cavell, and he'd been on FZR 1000, and then there's a kid from York Suzuki on the next Whittam Suzuki. Yeah, so a little bit of luck involved, but yeah, it's flipping. For me, it was like winning Grand Prix.
Oh, I bet it was.
First time out, because I had no intention of doing it for a living or anything. It was just purely to stop riding on the road like a lunatic. That was the reason why I went racing.
Draws you in though, doesn't it? I bet that was like a hook.
Yeah, that was it.
Right,
Right, I can win my first meeting. Boom. keep doing it.
without realising it,
Yeah,
because you don't kind of have a direction in, do you? It's
You,
just
you ride the wave, don't you?
you're just sort of flipping out. You know, a bit of a problem. I'm guessing the same as in your time. You flipping turn up with your tranny van, whatever it is, in their caravan, and you got 17 people sleeping in the two
that's
caravan in the clubhouse all night long.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but yeah, hey, good times.
Yeah. Right, let's wrap up part 1 here. We're going to get into your driving days. We're going to move right up until 2022, talk about 2022, and then the future of your TT career. See you next week.